I'm afraid of losing you." The words shattered through the roar of the rain as the black car driven by Bruno Mars came to a sudden stop on the side of a highway blurred by sheets of water. The wipers moved frantically, squeaking in protest, as if they too were panicking. The city lights in the distance dissolved into trembling streaks across the windshield. In the passenger seat, Rose lowered her head, her damp blonde hair clinging to her cheeks. Her hands trembled, not from the cold, but from something much deeper, a fear she had buried beneath stage smiles and flashing cameras. Bruno turned off the engine. The world outside dimmed, leaving only the pounding rain on the roof like thousands of impatient fingers tapping overhead. He slowly turned to look at her, watching as she struggled to hold back tears. "What do you mean?" he asked softly, though a crack ran through his voice. Rose let out a bitter laugh. "Every time the stage lights go out, I feel like everything could disappear. You could disappear. We could disappear." Lightning split the sky, illuminating their faces for a fleeting second, just enough to reveal the tears pooling in Rose's eyes, heavy with old wounds. Bruno recognized that look. He carried the same scars. He had grown up afraid of being left behind. Success had given him the world, but it had also taken things from him: trust, peace, the belief that someone could love him without conditions. He was used to writing songs about heartbreak, about women who walked away without goodbye. But this was different. If she left, he wasn't sure he could turn it into music. Rose wiped her eyes quickly, almost angry at herself for looking vulnerable. "I'm always strong in front of everyone, but tonight I'm tired. I don't want to be a secret forever." The word secret lingered heavily in the air. Their relationship had never been announced. Behind the grand concerts and glamorous interviews were midnight texts, hidden hallway meetings in hotels, quick embraces before elevator doors closed. A love that was real, but never acknowledged. Bruno inhaled slowly. The scent of leather mixed with the faint sweetness of Rose's perfume. His chest tightened under the weight of choices that were never simple. Labels, management, contracts, public image, walls built high around them. "I don't want to lose you either," he finally admitted, his voice low and raw. "But I'm afraid that if the world finds out, it'll tear you apart." Rose turned sharply. "Or maybe we're tearing ourselves apart by hiding." The rain intensified, becoming the soundtrack to an argument they had never truly finished. Outside, headlights streaked past like memories slipping through their fingers. Rose closed her eyes. "I get jealous when I see you laughing with someone else on camera. I know it's work, but it still hurts. I can't keep pretending I don't miss you in front of everyone." Her confession landed softly, but deeply. Bruno remembered the last concert night, watching her from backstage. He had wanted to pull her into his arms right then, but he had stayed in the shadows. He was jealous, too, of a world that could see her openly while he had to love her quietly. Without another word, he unbuckled his seatbelt and moved closer. His warm hand reached for her cheek, wiping away the tears she could no longer contain. "Look at me," he whispered. She did. There was a storm in her eyes, but also hope. Bruno pulled her gently into his arms. This time she didn't resist. She melted into him, her face pressed against his chest. She could hear his heartbeat, fast, uneven, real. The rain outside faded into the background, overpowered by the rhythm of their breathing colliding in the small space. Rose began to cry fully now, her shoulders shaking. "I don't want to be someone you only remember in a song." Bruno held her tighter. "You're not my sad song. You're the home I always want to come back to." The words slipped out without strategy, without rehearsal. Pure. Rose clutched his jacket as if letting go would make everything vanish. She inhaled his scent, warm, familiar, grounding. For the first time that night, she didn't feel alone with her fear. But beneath the embrace, nothing was fully resolved. An unread message from his manager waited on his phone. Rumors about them had begun circulating online. The world was watching, even if they pretended it was. Bruno realized something then. Love wasn't just a feeling. It was a decision, and decisions always came with a price. He pressed a soft kiss to the top of her head. If the world ever finds out, I want them to hear it from us, not from gossip. Rose lifted her face, eyes still wet but steadier now. So you won't run. A faint smile curved his lips, but determination burned beneath it. I've run too many times in my life. This time I want to stay. The rain began to soften, no longer raging, just a gentle patter against the glass. The city lights grew clear again. The world outside hadn't changed. It was still full of risk, still filled with watching eyes. But inside that car, something had shifted. Rose rested her head against his chest again, not out of despair, but out of choice. Bruno stroked her hair slowly, as if sealing a promise without witnesses. They knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. There would be jealousy, pressure, maybe even betrayal from unexpected places. There would be nights when fear whispered louder than love. But that night, beneath the storm that almost drowned everything, they chose not to lose each other. And for the first time, Rose's fear transformed into courage, because she no longer carried it alone. The first explosion didn't come from the sky. It came from his phone. They had barely driven 10 minutes after the rain softened when Bruno's screen lit up again and again, vibrating violently against the dashboard. Notifications stacked over each other like falling dominoes. Mentions, tags, headlines. Rose saw his jaw tighten. "Don't," she whispered. "Please don't tell me." But he already knew. A blurry photo had surfaced online, taken from across the street outside the rehearsal building earlier that night. It wasn't clear, but it was enough. Him opening the passenger door for her, her hand on his arm, intimate, familiar, too close to be explained away as casual. The headline was ruthless. Secret romance confirmed. Rose's breath caught. They were watching us. "They're always watching," Bruno muttered. He pulled into a quieter side street, engines still running this time. The world outside felt colder now, sharper. No more rain to soften it. His phone rang. Manager. He stared at it for a second too long before answering. He didn't put it on speaker, but Rose could hear the shouting anyway. "What were you thinking?" the voice barked. "Do you have any idea what this does to both your brands? We have campaigns lined up, endorsements. You can't just..." "I didn't do anything," Bruno cut in, voice low but dangerous. "You were seen, that's enough." Rose flinched. The call ended abruptly, not because the shouting stopped, but because Bruno hung up. Silence swallowed the car. "Say it," Rose said quietly. "They want you to deny it." He didn't answer. "That's what they always want," she continued, her voice rising. "Deny, distance, disappear." "They want to protect us," he shot back. "Protect us," she laughed bitterly, "by pretending we're nothing." Her words hit harder than she intended. She saw it in his face. "You think this is easy for me," Bruno snapped. "You think I enjoy being told who I can stand next to, what I can feel. Then stop letting them control it." His hands tightened around the steering wheel. "It's not that simple." "It never is with you," her voice cracked. "You always say you'll stay, but when it gets real, when it gets messy, you retreat. That's not fair." "Isn't it?" She turned toward him fully now, eyes blazing. "The moment this threatens your career, suddenly I'm the risk." He froze. "That's not what I said." "It's what you meant." The air between them thickened, suffocating. Outside, a car passed slowly, as if even strangers sensed the tension vibrating from inside. Bruno ran a hand through his hair, packing inside his own thoughts. "I've spent years building something stable. One wrong move and the media turns it into a circus. They'll tear you apart. They'll dissect everything you've ever done." "They already do," she whispered. That silenced him. Rose swallowed hard. "I've been criticized for my voice, my body, my accent, my dadding rumors. I survived it. What scares me isn't them." She looked at him, eyes shimmering but steady. "It's you deciding I'm not worth surviving it with." The words cracked something open. Bruno exhaled sharply, almost like he'd been punched. "You think I'd choose them over you?" "I think you're terrified of losing control." He opened his mouth to argue, but she wasn't wrong. Control had always been his shield. If he managed the narrative, he survived. If he didn't, he lost everything. And she was chaos. Beautiful, emotional, fearless chaos. His phone buzzed again. Another notification. This time a clip, a slowed-down zoom of him brushing rain from her hair outside the building. The caption read, "The way he looks at her." Rose saw it too. Her breath trembled. They're romanticizing it. Tomorrow they'll demonize it. Then let them, she said suddenly. He blinked. What? Let them talk. Rose. No, her voice sharpened with a strength that surprised even her. I am tired of shrinking, tired of acting like what we have is shameful. I don't want to be your secret safe option. I want to be your choice. The word hung heavy. Choice. Bruno stared at her as if seeing her fully for the first time. Not the performer, not the polished public figure, but the woman who had been brave enough to admit she was afraid of losing him. You think I don't choose you? He asked quietly. Then prove it. The challenge wasn't loud. It was devastatingly calm. He felt heat rise in his chest. What do you want me to do? Post a confession right now? Burn every contract? I want you to stop acting like loving me is a liability. Her voice broke at the last word. He didn't realize he had moved until he was closer to her again, his hand gripping the back of her seat. You are not a liability, he said fiercely. You are the only thing that feels real in this entire industry. Then why does it feel like I'm always waiting for you to let go? Because he had let go before. Because he had been burned before. Because trusting something this intense felt like standing in the middle of a storm without shelter. He cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. I am scared, he admitted. Not of them, of losing you if this explodes. You'll lose me faster if you keep hiding me. That was the truth he couldn't dodge. Another call came in. This time, it wasn't his manager. It was her agency. Rose stared at the name flashing on her screen. They know, she breathed. Don't answer, he said quickly. She looked at him. If I don't, they'll assume. Assume what? That we're serious. The words settled like a final card placed on the table. Serious. Were they? The question didn't need words anymore. Rose's thumb hovered over the decline button. If I answer, she said softly, they'll ask me to deny it publicly. And will you? She hesitated. Her silence was louder than any yes. Bruno felt something shift inside him, something reckless and terrifying and liberating all at once. Give me your phone, he said suddenly. She blinked. What? Give it to me. She handed it over slowly, confused. He didn't decline the call. He answered it. Hello, the voice on the other end began sharply. This is Bruno, he interrupted calmly. Before you say anything, don't ask her to deny it. There was stunned silence. Rose's eyes widened in disbelief. We haven't made any statements, the voice responded cautiously. You were about to. Another pause. You understand the consequences of this. Yes. Public backlash, contract reevaluations, media frenzy. Yes. Rose's heart pounded so loudly, she thought it might drown out the conversation entirely. Bruno glanced at her, his gaze steady now, unwavering. We're not denying anything, he said firmly, and if there's a statement, we'll make it together. The line went dead. Rose stared at him, as if the world had tilted. I just chose, he said quietly. Her eyes filled instantly, but this time it wasn't fear. It was something fierce and overwhelming and fragile all at once. You're insane, she whispered. Probably. You might lose sponsors. I've lost worse. You might lose fans. He leaned closer, his forehead resting against hers. I won't lose you. The weight of his words settled into her chest, warm and devastating. Outside, somewhere in the city, the storm clouds finally began to part. The sky wasn't clear yet, but it wasn't drowning anymore either. Rose let out a shaky breath and wrapped her arms around him, not gently this time, but desperately, like someone who had just watched the future shift in real time. "You have no idea what you just did," she murmured against him. "Oh, I do," he replied softly. His phone buzzed again, this time with messages that were less controlled. Leaks, rumors escalating, media outlets picking up the story. The fire had started. But inside the car, there was no panic now. Only the aftershock of a decision that would change everything. And as the city lights reflected in their eyes, neither of them realized that by morning, the world wouldn't just be speculating anymore. By morning, the world was no longer whispering. It was screaming. The first headline hit at 6:12 a.m. Global pop power couple confirmed. By 6:20, clips from last night were everywhere. Slow-motion edits of rain falling over them, zoomed-in screenshots of the way Bruno had looked at Rose, dramatic music layered beneath stolen footage. Fans were divided. Some celebrated, others raged. When Bruno opened his hotel's suite door, Rose was already inside, packing barefoot across the carpet, her phone clutched tightly in her hand. "They're calling me manipulative," she said without greeting. "They're saying I planned this for attention." Bruno shut the door quietly behind him. "They're calling me reckless, saying I'm throwing away my career for a scandal." Rose laughed hollowly. "Romance is a scandal now. Only when it's inconvenient." She stopped packing and looked at him. Her eyes were tired, she hadn't slept. "My agency wants a meeting, in person, today. So does mine. And they're not happy. Mine either." There was a charged silence between them, heavier than the storm from the night before. "You can still walk this back," Rose said suddenly. Bruno's head snapped up. "What?" "You can say it was misinterpreted. That we're just close friends. That emotions were high because of the rain, the rumors, whatever excuse they'll script for you." He stepped toward her slowly. "Is that what you want?" "No," she admitted, "but I don't want to be the reason you lose everything." He exhaled sharply. "You think I don't see what this costs you too? Your fan base is already splitting into war zones." She swallowed. "Some of them feel betrayed. So do mine." The truth stung. Idolized images were fragile things. Fans built fantasies around them, safe narratives that didn't include complicated, messy love stories. Rose's phone buzzed again. A notification preview flashed across her screen. Her stomach dropped. "They're saying we lied." Bruno's expression darkened. "We never confirmed or denied anything." "They're calling that deception." He ran a hand down his face. "This is exactly what I was afraid of." "And yet you chose it," she said softly. He looked at her, something fierce rising in his chest. "I chose you." She looked away, blinking back tears. A knock at the suite door made both of them freeze. Bruno frowned. "I didn't order anything." Another knock, firmer. Rose's heart began pounding. What if it's press? He walked toward the door cautiously and checked the peephole. His manager. He opened it halfway. "What are you doing here?" Bruno asked. "What I should have done last night," the manager replied sharply, pushing inside. He stopped short when he saw Rose. His expression tightened. "This is a disaster," he said flatly. "Good morning to you too," Bruno muttered. The manager ignored him. "Brands are reconsidering. Interviews are being pulled. Investors are nervous." Rose straightened. "Investors? Since when does love require shareholders?" The manager's eyes flicked to her. "Since it affects millions of dollars." Bruno stepped between them. "Watch your tone." "I'm trying to save your career." "And I'm trying to live my life," Bruno shot back. The manager's jaw clenched. "You think this is romantic rebellion? This is war. The media smells blood. If you don't control this now, it will spiral." Rose crossed her arms. "Control it how?" "Statement, carefully worded. No labels, no confirmation, keep it ambiguous." Bruno shook his head immediately. No. The manager stared at him in disbelief. No. I'm not making her feel like a rumor. Rose's breath caught at that. The manager's voice lowered, more dangerous now. You are under contract. You don't make unilateral decisions. And you don't decide who I care about. Care about? The manager scoffed. This isn't about feelings, it's about survival. Rose stepped forward, anger flashing in her eyes. He's not a product. He is to the industry. The room went deadly quiet. Bruno's hands curled into fists. Get out. The manager blinked. Excuse me. You heard me. You'll regret this. Maybe, Bruno replied calmly, but at least it'll be my regret. The manager stared at him for a long moment before grabbing his tablet and heading for the door. This isn't over, he warned. It never is, Rose whispered once he left. Silence filled the suite again, but it was different now, charged, raw. You didn't have to do that, she said softly. Yes, I did. She searched his face. You're shaking. He laughed under his breath. Adrenaline. No, she said gently, stepping closer. Fear. He didn't deny it. I've spent years calculating every move, he admitted. Every lyric, every appearance, every smile. Last night was the first time I acted without a safety net. And it's terrifying. Rose reached up, her fingers brushing his jaw. I don't want you fearless, I just want you honest. He closed his eyes at her touch. Her phone rang again. She hesitated before answering this time. She put it on speaker. Rose, her agency director began, voice tight. We need damage control. We're not denying anything, she said before she could lose her nerve. A pause. You're confirming it. She looked at Bruno. He gave her the smallest nod. Yes, she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. We're together. The silence on the other end stretched painfully. You understand the consequences. I do. You may lose endorsement deals. I know. You may alienate part of your audience. I know. And if this ends badly, the director pressed. Rose swallowed. Then at least it was real. The call ended without reassurance. She stood there for a moment, the weight of what she'd just done settling into her bones. Bruno stepped closer. You didn't have to. Yes, I did, she echoed his earlier words. He let out a breath that sounded almost like a laugh. We're insane. Completely. There was a sudden buzz from the television mounted on the wall. Breaking news banner. They both turned. A live entertainment segment displayed side-by-side photos of them from the night before. Sources confirm both parties have refused to deny the relationship. Rose's heart slammed against her ribs. Bruno reached for her hand instinctively, lacing his fingers through hers. Too late to hide now, she whispered. He squeezed her hand. Good. Her eyes flicked to him. Good. I'm tired of hiding. The anchor on screen began speculating about joint appearances, future collaborations, the impact on their respective careers. Rose's voice trembled slightly. What if this changes how people hear our music? Then they'll finally hear the truth in it. She stared at him. You really believe that? I believe love isn't weakness. Tears welled in her eyes again, but this time they weren't from fear. The media storm outside was growing louder by the minute. Social feeds were exploding. Support hashtags began trending alongside harsh criticism. Two names, intertwined, impossible to separate now. Rose stepped closer, her forehead resting against his chest. I don't want to fight the world alone, she whispered. You won't, he said firmly. Outside the suite window, the city was awake, alive, buzzing with speculation and judgment. Inside, something steadier was forming. Not just passion, not just rebellion, but partnership. He tilted her chin up gently. If we're going to burn, we burn together. She searched his face one last time for doubt. She didn't find any. And for the first time since the storm began, the fear of losing him was replaced by something stronger, the certainty that whatever came next, it would not break them quietly. It would either destroy them loudly or make them unstoppable.